So are we all ready to rock and roll? All right, everyone. I want to thank everybody for taking the time and listening to my presentation. Before we start, just a quick disclaimer. Trade Ideas is not a registered investment advisor, so all the information that you're going to be seeing today is for educational and informational purposes only. I'm going to try to have a pretty exciting presentation today, a lot of alpha opportunities. It's really going to be focused on how you can optimize your investing experience. How do we spend less time, toiling, more time enjoying ourselves in front of the screen, and how can we use technology to help us do that? That's really the focus of this presentation. So this is a little bit of my background. I've been a professional investor and trader since the mid-90s, and in 1999 I started a software company that was funded by venture capital, raised over $50 million, and really learned a lot of what not to do. And after 2003, my partners and I, the people who were the best at it, we left that firm and we started Trade Ideas, and we've been doing it ever since. So Trade Ideas, again, is this technology that is your investment search engine. We try to find where you should focus your attention, because that's the most important thing you have during market hours. I want to spend a lot less time today about like algorithms and getting all complex. On the contrary, I want to kind of simplify this and talk about what we're trying to do. We're trying to use technology to help us figure out where to allocate our capital so we can be more efficient and enjoy more time with our kids. Today, I'm going to be giving you guys some promo codes to really help you get access to Trade Ideas in the most efficient way possible. So I'm going to minimize the screen, and I'm going to show you the Trade Ideas environment. So this is Trade Ideas, and what it is, again, it's a stream of information that's coming to you as things are happening in real time. And the idea here is that instead of you having to look for something, you have channels that can kind of focus you on what might be interesting or important. Like, for example, this channel that we're on right now is called The Surge. And what's happening here is it's showing you when things are taking place that you need to be aware of right now. So for example, look at this. When something like this takes place, we want to be aware of it, okay? Because we want to make sure that we don't accidentally miss something because either news broke or something important is taking place. This page right here called The Surge is always going to keep us on these things so that nothing misses our attention. So Surge is looking for information where all of a sudden a surge of volume comes in either direction. So let's take a look at what this looked like in this window. Here's another one, ABAX, okay, right over here. And again, remember that it's all proportional, so it doesn't, see this volume bar, how big it is compared to all these other ones? This is something's going on here. So even though the price may still be kind of in a very tight area, that doesn't mean that there isn't a surge. And look at the relative volume. So here again, we're able to see some information with Trade Ideas that helps us to understand why we want to keep our focus. Relative volume lets us know how much something is trading right now compared to what it normally does at this time of day. So look at NXTD. Okay, this stock is trading 100 times what it normally is trading. Okay, on 10 million shares being traded. These are the kind of things that as the market's happening, we simply have to be aware. Here's another example. Look at the move right here. Okay, this is a 5-minute chart, and this is the daily. Here it's finishing on highs, and then it kind of really ran strongly all the way from all through the last hour. And what our software does is it really helps you to make sure that no matter what, you're not going to miss the most interesting information. I'm going to show you a couple of ways that we do this that really is kind of proprietary to us. So first of all, again, you can zoom in and out of things quickly. So here, you can tell one of the things that I really like about this particular example of potential alpha is see this gap down? You're right in the middle of this gap fill. So that kind of lets you know that there's a lot of pent-up potential energy. And this stock could continue to move higher and trade all the way to these levels. So one of the things you can do is you can set up an alert and you can say, let me go above today's high, right-click, and create alert for this stock. And I'm going to put a little note on here, and I'm going to say something like continuing. I'm going to hit save, and now this stock is in my limit alert window, which is right here, and everything that I do, I can continue to constantly watch it and make sure that everything that I have is doing what I want it to do. So here, again, I have 2 alerts that were triggered today as something was happening that I wanted to be aware of. So our software works not only in just on the FYI, but everything that you're studying, everything that you see, you can instantly set up an alert, and that way you make sure that you never really miss it. So like, for example, here, Zenerba Pharmaceuticals, and again, let me just, go all the way to today, and I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. So here you can see how this traded all the way up here and then sold off at the end. Well, I'm going to know if this trades, again, above the high, I'm going to say it is going. So now I instantly have an alert for ZYNE, and here it is. And again, obviously it hasn't triggered yet, but I can simply see what's working, what do I have, what kind of messages I can put in here, and how I'm going to react when I'm ready. So again, the key here is multiple ways to never miss anything. One of the most important things that Trade Idea brings to the table is the ability for you, the end user, to not have to know how to configure anything. Excuse me. So on the left side of our screen, we have a Netflix-like channel bar. So this channel bar allows you to kind of go and investigate where there could be opportunities to capture alpha. So let's go to social media. In the social media channel, what we showcase is technology that helps not only to show you the positive movement up or down, it also shows you where there is significant social activity. Here's a social activity, and you can see that just a lot of excitement in terms of people interacting online. Netflix, always a favorite. After hours. After hours negativity, but obviously reflected in the social media. Okay, so one of the things that people do is as this information is coming through, you can very quickly just scroll through and instantly see if something catches your attention. So again, you don't have to do it setting anything up. You can just go right to a channel and up arrow, down arrow. It's that simple. So, and again, notice after hours information instantly accessible. In fact, we can go to an after hours channel and see what's happening. Okay, so Netflix, remember we just saw how it was down? Apparently, that was a great exaggeration, and now Netflix is up a significant amount, 11% after the close, and it looks like a lot of other companies are doing the same thing. So this is the advantage. When you have these channels, when you're able to quickly see what's going on, you kind of have a level of expectation too in terms of being able to know, okay, well now I kind of see what's going on. You know, I wonder how this will translate to tomorrow. Obviously, when the market is open, right before it's open, typically what our users are doing, the behavior is they'll be on this page, which is the pre-market channel. And the pre-market channel is where you really are seeing what's getting ready to go. And then as soon as the market opens, our investors are instantly surfing. So you can go to the social media channel, see what's going on there. Right after that, like again, as you start to exactly see what you want to focus in, whether it's, you know, the positive stocks with the most mentions or the negatives, you can just go right into the volume. So there's like this behavioral path that I'm showing you that ultimately leads you to having the best market experience. So finally, what I'm going to be talking about is how do you really figure out what to do with this information. Okay, so that's really one of the most important things. So our software does something that other vendors just don't have, which is the ability for you to take an event and to test it. So here I'm going to show you. I'm going to start from scratch. So everything is empty. I'm going to go for a new high, make it a 10-day high, so that you can imagine this is a real nice looking move. And then look at for stocks that are, let's say, we can put in fundamental data of saying they have to make at least 20 cents a share, and they're up at least a 0.1%. So now I can take this and I can say, okay, and also a 3-month average of, let's say, 1 million shares a day. So then I say 10-day highs test. So this is where you're about to see something that's, again, really kind of exciting. So I can right-click, I can go to backtest this strategy. You know, here I'm on the West Coast, so I'm going to ignore the first 30 minutes and don't add anything the last hour. Then I can test my theory and say, okay, so what happens if I buy these 10-day highs, and what happens at the end of the day? We call it 5 minutes before the open. And I can hit simulate buy, and our software instantly goes into the market. It's like a time machine. It goes into the past, and it starts telling you, well, okay, you know, when you're trading this strategy of buying these 10-day highs and holding them for the rest of the day, well, going long, here's what happens. And notice how many transactions that we've gone through. This is probably the most powerful, quickest analysis of any kind of concept that you can have that's being given to you right now. So we just through 100 trades, and you can see the winner and loser was probably scratch, but the problem was just not a good enough success rate, so you just get eaten up alive. So this is the thing that our software tells you, that when you look at things, let me go to the history of this. So here's what you would have seen today. So let's take a look at some of these. So here it is on the daily, okay? And again, there's a really important reason why it's important to know what I'm showing you. The important thing is that every one of these stocks, so here, this was a 10-day high, this will also be a 10, they're all going to look good on the chart. But the problem is you don't really know statistically, unless you've done the analysis, what happens at the end. So we can take this idea and we can run it again, and we can say, okay, how about maybe the day is just too short of a time frame? Had the market open after 5 days. Let's simulate that buy. So this is kind of a swing strategy. And here it is again, telling you that the path of least resistance right now, at least, is certainly not long. What's kind of nice is that once you see this, you have totally different sets of expectations based on, you know, what's actually happening numerically versus what your eyes, you know, want you to believe, where, you know, we're taught, oh, look at this breakout or look at this breakdown. These things are going to be really amazing. Well, the truth of the matter is it's not exactly the same, even here on the swing path. So let's let it finish it up real quick. Again, sometimes, again, the very end is the hardest because it's going through 15, you know, over 1,600 possible scenarios. Imagine doing this in TradeStation. You would have to write 1,600, 1,800 scripts. You know, in this case, it would have been 1,500 scripts, and we do it here in under, you know, 3 minutes. So we tested this, the short term all day, and it was terrible. Now look at the swing. Also, only 30% winners. So we can run again, and we can maybe simulate sell. So this is like a very simple concept where right away the testing tells you a little bit of a situation. Like, so what is the path of all? If you wanted to learn something from this webinar, this is a very simple one lesson. Trade Ideas allows you to see which way the wind is blowing. So clearly in this case, the best thing to do would have been to fade these moves, fade the highs. Okay? And you can, you know, obviously to be able to do that for all of these stocks would require $20 million. But again, you can, you know, you can modify things. You can say, well, what if it was with 100 shares? You know, how would it have worked, and so forth. So here the key is not only is the success good, but look at the difference between the winner and the loser. This is what happens when you are going in the direction of the path of least resistance, when the numbers are on your side. It's really quite an incredible thing, and this is the difference between approaching things as you have to the way that we kind of like to take it, which is a numeric and a quantitative approach where anything can be tested. I'm going to give you guys another example. Just did the 10-day highs. Now I'm going to show you something else called, again, testing the 20-day moving average. So here we have an alert when a stock crosses the 20-day moving average, okay? And I'm going to hide unused, so we'll say between $5 and how about 200, average 5-day volume, we'll call it 5 million. So that there's really something going on, and we can even put relative volume of 2. That means that the day it's happening, something positive is happening to the stock in terms of how it's crossing it. And again, you can confirm that by just putting in the filters of like being up a tenth from the close. And now we're going to say, whoops, the 20-day SMA test. So here, what we're going to find out is we're going to take the 20-day SMA and we're going to say, well, is this a good trade? If I'm buying 20 days SMAs on high volume, does that look good over the course of however long we want to try to figure it out? So the first thing we're going to do is the same exact assumptions. You're going to learn something here. So we're going to test it again. We'll try 60 minutes. Let's do a quick one. Much fewer trades. Again, something else to know. Like that's, you also can get an idea if you're working with a statistically good sample or not. So here's, again, interesting, right? Only 39 trades, but a 51% success rate. And you did a little bit better on winners and losers. So that at least lets you know that you're not completely going in a terrible direction. So now we can say, okay, well maybe we want to see more information. So I'm going to move this 2, and I'm going to say 1, and I'm going to change the 5 million to 1 million so that I can really see, well, what's going on. Netflix was one of these just now. So here, let's backtest the strategy. And again, skipping the first half hour, not adding anything, going for 60 minutes, and we're simulating the buy. So here, more trades, and it's kind of hugging the trade line, but it's the costs and everything else that's really making it almost impossible for us to make any kind of money. So let's finish it up again. Remember, what you're seeing here is event-based testing on the viability of a 60-minute hold on a 20-day moving average cross. Okay, and on 1,000 trades, it's a coin flip. So this is the thing that's the most important lesson from this webinar. Almost everything you see on a chart, unless you're able to run these kind of numbers, it is a coin flip. So I'm going to change the assumptions and see if we can do something else. How about right again, doing the same thing we did before, 5 minutes to the close. Let's see if it helps us at all. Is there anything that's a little bit better? I mean, you can tell the success rate's more improved at 53%. That's not that terrible. But you can be losing 10 cents more than you're winning. So this is where the big difference between people who quantitatively are able to make strides in the market to those that aren't. So what we do with Trade Ideas is we take our backtesting strategy and we have an artificial intelligence engine. The whole day is basically sitting there and it's spitting out trades based on the numbers, okay? And it just becomes part of the routine. You go pre-market, once the first 15 minutes are out, you switch to the AI, and then as you're watching it go, then you go to the surge, you see what's going on. You can let's just take a look at, again, how quickly you can peruse through things. We have an earnings channel, right? So again, you can see the stuff that was reporting today and was up with earnings, what was reporting today and was down with earnings. So there's all sorts of these things that are already here, and you don't have to do any work configuring it. You can just set it up. From the close, you can see, you know, what was going on, what had the best, you know, what was available. There's an options channel. This is a very important channel where, again, we talk a little bit about that Trade Ideas is an investment discovery engine, which isn't just simply, you know, focusing on momentum and on stocks, because a lot of times the plays are on the options side. And here, what we're doing is we're looking at stocks where there's just a huge amount of options activity, which is very unusual. Okay, so here's what it looks like. Apartment investment had a 21,000 increase in options because 2,000 contracts were traded today. Normally it doesn't trade anything. And it had some high relative volume as well. This one again, Silgan Holdings, very similar, 3,300 contracts today, almost everything on the call side. So when the put-call ratio is less than 1, there's more calls than puts. So that's kind of how, you know, you can look at this information in more than sort of one way. And you can see how here the stocks kind of come back to the support, so it looks like someone's betting on the bounce. So options, sectors, another very important thing. Quickly be able to see where is the strength, where is the weakness. Change it from today to slightly longer term. Excuse me. This is just a very simple way for you to be able to quickly see the most important names in each and every sector as it as it relates to potential and alpha access, because again, the key is not just being in what everyone else is, it's catching the unusual, you know, things that are really setting up. Look at the volume here. Okay, I mean, you're talking about 9 million shares. That's like 10 times the relative. It's a very unusual move. So depending on what's going on, this is just yet another name that should be on the radar to watch. China. So much volatility here. Again, whether you're watching at the losers or the winners. Huge opportunity. I mean, this is a this right here is a pattern that we're always watching. And notice it's funny because Holly's automation, Holysys, and our AI is named Holly. Totally a coincidence. But this is what's called a red bar ignore, where you have this huge red bar and and this happened completely kind of erased this. So we definitely want to keep watching it. So here's what we're going to do. Right click, create an alert. Holly time going. I'm going to save it, but watch this. I also come down and I'm going to create a alert for the downside and call it all bets are off. So this is what's called kind of a bracket. So I want to show you again. Notice here I have the alert right up here at 1740, and then here I have it at 1533. So I'm able to, you know, be much more sophisticated as it relates to any stock. Nothing has to happen for me. I'm able to kind of go in and out and have both sets of ideas for anything. Again, it's a very freeing experience. So look at this. Here's BABA. Okay, and again, the whole market has been very tricky, but I'll just show you a perfect example. Here, you can set a price above today's high. You can even set it above, like here, this range, 73.63. Call it BABA turning. So that's my, and I'll get that alert, it'll pop up. And then I can come right over here and right click and say, nope, it is short time. So this way, as an investor, and you know, today one of the keys to being successful is simply not limiting yourself to one set of tools or saying that you're a day trader or a swing trader. You have to really be open to capture alpha where alpha is hiding. And alpha is always hiding, number one, where you're not looking exactly, and number two, you need to be open in either direction. So that's one of the things that our artificial intelligence is doing. So whenever the day is there, it does both long and short. So that's one of the big advantages. You always have opportunities in both sides. But the same way as we integrate this, the limit alert functionality, you really start seeing, so if you want to know like what kind of a trend change do we look like for, and it kind of looks like this. You can see the stocks coming in, it tries to kind of form a bottom, makes a little bit higher low, and starts trending and makes a, and this is a nice basing. So now I'm going to come back here and I'm going to say again, breakout go. I'm going to hit save. And I can do the same thing if I go over here to this price, where I'm going to say falling. This way, you're open to going in both directions, and you don't need to miss a single thing. It's probably one of the most powerful things that Trade Idea brings to the table. So let me show you something else that's really kind of amazing about what we do and the social aspect of being able to work with this technology. So I have these windows. So what I can do is I can click on them. So I have all of these. I can right click and I can share these alerts. So what happens is anyone else with my technology, I can simply go to Twitter, send them this link, and all of those things that I just did, all of the stocks that I analyzed instantly pop into their alerts, and they can do the same thing for me. So it's the ultimate sharing. So we have people, from 65 different countries who are looking at this technology, and they're basically going through different stocks, creating different setups, and then they're not just simply utilizing it for themselves, but they're sharing them. And what happens is more and more stocks are covered, and better setups are taking place. So that's the thing. We have this room here during the day. On the left-hand side, it's our community room where everybody's sharing these ideas. These kinds of setups are available to everyone, and you really kind of ride on the experience of other investors and other traders who've done it before and have had a lot of success. So instead of, again, doing it from scratch, you get to really take advantage of it for yourself. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the presentation real quick, and I'm just going to make sure I covered most of the things that I wanted to do. Okay, so obviously with Trade Ideas, just so that you know, we sell B2B and we have B2C. Educators use our technology. Brokerage firms like E-Trade, Scottrade, Lightspeed. We're inside of eSignal as an add-on, and we're really, again, I would say we're the premier real-time idea generation and investment discovery engine on the market right now. So a lot of people send us their experience with our software. It's usually always very positive. Again, you can't be in business for 13 years if you're not doing a good job. So these are, again, inside of eSignal. We don't have just market data, but we also have social data, and we're vetted by large institutions. So this is the kind of like, our technology is typically the foundation that you need to really work well in the markets, because we cover everything, and the kind of situations we'll bring to your attention are things that you're going to want to be inside. So that's the thing. When you combine Trade Ideas with the artificial intelligence that lives inside it, you're really setting yourself up to kind of, again, be the CEO of your own financial empire versus a bean counter, which is how we are most of the time when we're doing analysis. You know, if you're poring over stock charts and drawing trend lines, that is not where your time is best allocated. That's best done by computing and AI. You decide where to go or pass. So again, I wanted to kind of like really touch base on this part of it because it's really an interesting part. I'm going to minimize this real quick. But so the Trade Ideas AI has this thing called the quantitative combine. So there's like 35 strategies that are inside of, so all of these things that you see here, like in this multi-strategy window where you have unusual options volume or post-market gainer or significant down move or up move. So there's these 35 strategies that we have, and these 35 strategies are called the quantitative combine. If you've never heard of that term, it's probably one of the most important terms for you to realize. And what this is how, again, our AI lives. It consists of 35 strategies that break the market down, and each night, like right now, as we are speaking, our server room is crunching through all of today's trades, adding today to its knowledge base, and then trying to figure out what's ready to rock and roll for tomorrow. That's how you're able to analyze almost 1 million trades every evening to find the 6 trades that you should be looking at. So again, that's what's happening right now. While we're talking, while I'm presenting, our server room is crunching ridiculous amounts of data, over 1 million by the time it's done, to figure out what's the best things that we should be trading tomorrow. So it's the transition. It's kind of going from this to what you see on the slide. We're very comfortable using, you know, AI for Pandora, for what we want to listen to, our driverless cars, our Google Maps, and now it's coming to the stock market. It's the best way that you're going to be able to get access to finding supply and demand inefficiencies that are quantitative, not just visual. We're the only vendor in the world that has it. And again, it's the progression of what you're seeing here, from the paper atlas that's highlighted in yellow to Google Maps. That's where we are. That's where we have transitioned to. And that's the kind of advantage that you're going to have starting with Trade Ideas technology as your base for finding things to invest and where to allocate your capital. As I've showed you before, you know, in that picture of the 10-day highs on high volume, everything looks good on the chart, but when you do the math behind it, you realize it's not really working. So whenever you see something and you're looking at visuals, and whether it's the SPYs or the Qs, just rest assured knowing there's a maybe 50% chance you'll get it right without the quant. And again, you can do much better if you take advantage of what we're bringing to the table. So when you do this, remember we also talked about getting rid of the emotions, the anxiety, that the AI is often long and short together. So you're never really amped to be in one thing or the other. You're just following. You're following a search engine that's looking for supply-demand inefficiencies. It's that simple. We kind of did that as a, you know, when we ran through the trades, you saw what that process looks like, where you go through everything and you analyze every single thing. And now imagine that the software does that, and at the same time, it's also telling you, well, here's all the statistics that line up. This is where your money is best spent. That's where we've evolved to, from simply not only telling you what's working to helping you find the best things that are working. So yeah, right now, notice we showed you. It's easy. Sell highs. How do we know that? The numbers are behind it, and that's what we have in our strategy. It's a situation that's working, not stocks. That's one of the most important things that you have to understand. If you try to just learn how to trade Twitter or Google or Apple, I mean, you're going to be stuck because eventually they're going to fall out of favor. What you need to understand is how to trade supply and demand, and when there's a lot and when there's a little. And our software just happens to be the best at putting you in the path of least resistance by crunching the most numbers in the fastest amount of time for you. So this is what it takes. It's a minute to download, a minute to install, and then a few seconds to click, and you've already seen it. I've been clicking around all the channels. It's that easy. The most important thing that you have to ask yourself is, are you ready to kind of evolve to the next level of investment selection? Because everyone's been doing the same thing for ages. There's really almost no difference today in all the technical indicators, the RSIs, the MACDs, from what's happening on those lines than you would see in the 70s. It's the same stuff, but we've kind of taken technology to a different level where we've dropped all the technical terms and we just went quantitative. We dissected the market into its smallest bits. We know what's usual or unusual from the 1 minute to the lifetime. And having that in the database to access, that's what separates us from everybody else. So you can go quickly, whether it's the channel, the AI, or your own hypothesis. We get you from idea to investment in the shortest way possible. So let's see. I'm going to give you a quick overview of what we're doing. Let's see here. So how does our software work? Just so that you can understand. Number one, our software is a subscription-based software, and because we're doing this presentation for everybody that's attending, I have a use code MARKET, capital M-A-R-K-E-T, for a 25% savings off of any of these, the 99 monthly, the 888 annual, or our AI, which is a one-time $1,100 fee. So people often ask us, wow, this AI is really expensive. And we kind of say, well, not if you're thinking about it in terms of a law degree or a medical degree. The amount of money that people have to put in for something that can potentially generate you significant income, this is basically giving it away. We've been very excited because this is not something that just happened. It's kind of been in development for 13 years, and we've just pushed technology to a place where this is something that we can deliver. So we've never been more excited, and that's why we wanted to offer the market 25% off on all of these. So then the way that we really want to make it possible for somebody to completely just feel the benefit right away is we combined both our annual subscription and AI access for $12.88, which saves you $700 off of our AI. This is the best option that we provide for people. This is how confident we are because we're basically giving our AI away. So, excuse me, this is the bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/AI Holly. So this gives you a year of trade ideas and our artificial intelligence engine, all for $12.88, and it renews at the $8.88 price next year. So this is how we, again, this is how we run the technology. I hope that you guys got to see it in all of its excitement. There's charting, there is all the next level idea generation that you can have. And it just takes a little bit of exploration, and we take you through it. Whenever you sign up, you instantly get an hour of training with our Director of Education, and then of course, commensurately, you get access to our community where people share the ideas. We hope you take advantage of it, and we love the chance to present. I want to thank everybody for taking their time, and please take advantage of these offers. The bit.ly for 1288, this is the biggest promotion that we do. And of course, if you want to just try it out, the mark it as the promo code for the 25% off. I think that's it for me, unless there's questions or anything like that.
Okay, great. Thank you much. Trade Ideas, thank you once again. I will leave his information on here for about a